the Gun.js community. My name is Dennis, and today I want to talk about my dev setup to build some robust and easy to develop, really structured projects for Gun.js, the decentralized P2p database. Here I have a project that contains this server code and the client code for us to use, but I use a remote relay for now because I like to test it more like future-proof and not rely on local resources, but Gun.js may work here. If I run start script that is kept here in the package.json. If you're developing with Node.js, you know what it is, and here are the scripts, and this is the start when it builds the website and starts the server.js, this file here, and the dev server is vite.js, and with vite builds to the GitHub IO pages. So it's rather autonomic and works on remote resources too. Loads initially. That's it for now. It deploys with the script to the website on the GitHub pages. So here there's the repo, this is GitHub pages, and it's just sending the build dist directory, this one, to the GitHub pages, so it's fully client-side JavaScript that is built with vite.js and Vue.js and all those very useful plugins for this ecosystem. And it loads main.js, and here let's just examine what we're working with. So these are dev dependencies and dependencies for client side. And now we're talking about the vite, this build tool, and some plugins that are very useful for our dev process. Let's briefly talk about Vidconfig. So it's the place where we connect all these plugins and configure them, and here is the secret tool to make Gun client ready and exclude the let me find it, exclude the text encoding problem, big polyfill that we don't need on the client machines, and so Gun readily loads. We optimize the dependencies, and then we are ready to use the P2p database in this setup. But also we have Vue.js. It's my favorite open source framework above all. Here are pages that load these pages folder as the routes, so we will have this page loaded when we got the root directory of our website, web app. But of course the first thing that we'll meet is main.js that will load the Vue app, the Vue and the app from this file, and then we'll import some styles, even virtual ones from Windy CSS, which is a very useful utility CSS tool. I can't really emphasize enough how much how easy it is to use, how fun it is, but we'll get back to it later. And now we have the router that is loading pages. So pages, we get them from this directory. We get this web hash history to use with our router, and the routes. Yeah, and then we mount it to the app here. Yeah, the ID. This is the place where we mount the app. And the app is here. We just import Gun avatar. We don't need it here. We just have navbar, and these are the components that are loaded from this folder, because I configured it like this in the components plugin, and it tells us that in source components everything like that will be auto imported. And not only this, we will have import our icons too, and it's very useful design tool, by the way, and it's getting from the icons plugin that is somewhere here. Yeah, it's just mounted. Yeah, so we have the navbar. We can see it here, navbar. So we can browse, like folders are kept here as as components names. And here we have the script that has some links that are in the header, in the navbar, navigation bar, and here are the routes. So we have the router links that have these two attribute that tells us that we are just getting links, and the key this part goes to the 2, so we get these links for the router link. So when we use app, we have the router view with a component mounted inside the transition, and so when we click between these routes, we get two distinguished routes to play with. So here we have the relay polls, so we get the timestamps from the relay server based on glitch.com free web server, and it takes time to start initially when you get to it without being as a first in a day and an hour. But then these polls gets us, and we are happy that we are connected, and then we can join the game where we just play around, move our cursor, and have fun with the like game-like experience, which is not so game-like for now. It's just moving cursors, but here we have it. So let's check out how it's created. So here these timeouts are the bigger, and the player disappears. So I think that I want to build a game where you just stay on the page, and no matter how much you stay, you get bigger. Just simple game by the age, and it may be a basis for some other tools. But for now, it's not ready for this. It's just moving circles, and I'm not happy on the architecture of the data for this, and it's a matter of next work. But for now, let's check out the database structure. But we get there, yeah. So we're on the pages, and we go to the players route and the index page for it, and it has some template where we just have a div with this class that makes it bold. So players online, yeah. And these are the classes for flexible container, and inside it we have the button that will have a class with some decorations, and I can't use these names in Pug. It may be a class or just styles here, but for me sometimes it's just convenient to throw in some classes and be ready to play with the functions, not the design. And it's the button join. We've already pressed it, but we refresh it. Here it is, and it's disappearing if I don't have pub. So we have this me And who is me? Me is a reactive object, and it's based here, and we'll take it out to a composable function like useMe. But for now we just have me as a reactive object who has its num. What is num? Is yeah, my number in a line of players. I don't know why do I need it, but for now it's okay. The pub key that tells us that I'm logged in, and this is definitely my me, because I have the key pair, the C key pair, the really strong cryptographic tool to use later in the game, and the X and Y positions, coordinates. And I want to use a position to it, like an internal state, not two parameters but a position with X and Y. But it's a matter of some redesigning the structure, and I hope you'll be interested to investigate it later with me. But for now it's like this. And we also have the players reactive object, so it's like me, it's like us, and it just counts us. It tells us how many of us is tolerable to the game, and the list of us. Yeah, these should be like connected in some way, and we connect them with while working with the DB. So the DB is the thing that we import here, and let's dive into this structure. So we import something from @use, and it's not a npm module. It's loaded from source use DB. So we got source, we got use, and we got DB. So here we have all the code that is imported here, and it's really useful because we can reuse these DB at many pages and many ways, and we can decide even should it be 1 DB, or we may build some layer above the gun DB itself. But for now let's check out how it's configured, how it's running, and what do we do next with the DB exported object. So here I have the config. It's having the app path, the route path that I'm using for all the later graph builds. The whole gun graph builds from this point, this text. And now it's test, of course. Its DB version is used to have flush the local storage if we update the database, but it's not working for now, and maybe I should revise this code. I just copied it from my previous project, but it may be useful when you work with many test records, and so you can flush them from the peers. So we update the database version on the build process and reset all the other clients. Okay, on the client side we get the gun and C and all these things to run. So when we have imported, when we are here, we already have gun object ready to run in this configuration with using the indexed DB store in the browser to store all the data from and to gun. So the one thing we only need to do is to initiate gun with the peers from our config and disabling local storage, so we use only IndexedDB and we are not so limited in space and storage. We got, of course, these malicious links to Windows, so we can just place some code in the console. Okay, C pair. Okay, I love creating. Okay, window C see, await, yeah, await. It's too small to see, but here we have the key pair ready to use. I love creating them and using them. They are little precious gifts from our cryptographer ancestors. So what we have the app path again that is exported to maybe we will need it later, and this is what we call DB. It's just gun that gets the app path. So gun that and now it's test. So everything we do with gun DB is just we're working with this gun node and appending some other nodes to it. So we have the soul function to get the soul of any record, and also C to use later. I use it in lowercase, and maybe it's not very nice. Maybe I should just export C like this, or export I don't know. It's the matter of rewriting. So okay, that's it for now. We got the database, and then we have this database here. So it's just GunDB and app path added to it, and then we get players count, and it's just a thing that is updated somewhere. We'll find how it's updated, but when we have some update here, we just use it to update these here. So we always have the count loaded from the database, but of course this count shouldn't be just a thing in the database. It should be calculated maybe from this list, because we will have once the whole list of all the active players here, and we get them by iterating over the players with the gun map. And when we get some data about the updates of the players, if it's null, we don't do anything, but in other case we just spread these data into the list object that is placed on the K position, and K position is the key which is used to add the player. So we're getting to the adding, to joining, and it's an async function that has creates a pair, because this is why it's async in the first place. We need to create the cryptographic key pair, and then we have the pub. Okay, so and it goes straight to the object of me, so I don't need it later, and I can just move it here. And so we have these two positions. So we have player logic, and we have me logic that goes there. And what we have pair is set to me pair. I even don't have it, but let's tell, just for to remember what is me for now, that we have a null pair, so it's pair. Oh, it's yeah, it's fine. So now we have pub key, and then we have the number that is just, so I assigned a number for me from the count from these objects. So I have the players count, and it's like the current position. It's like the current position because it circulates by the in the circle of players max. So we have the 10 maximum players. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then again 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it cycles. So me now, and next we start adding some information. So now we are just getting, but what we're getting is the number of the that I'm assigning to myself. So I just rewrite some other player with my because it's just a number here, so I'm just second player maybe, and I just tell it it's my record. Now it's just public database, and it's straightforward to write just simply over, but it won't be over because the count is incremented when we are added. So here we have these place, but let's check what we got here on the updates. So we watch the mouse move and calculate the relative x and y, and then we just put them into the database, into the x and y position of the player. Then we have the pulse set interval that every half a second sends the pulse to the number, player number, and pulse. And next we have the player constructed, the object that will go to the database. So it's having pop key, the pulse that is random for now, it's just initial value. Then we have x and y which are random. Before the player moves, he'll be placed just at random position. And then we have put player, and we put player to this place, to database, players, and number. And also we increment the player count just by 1. So we tell it, okay, I'm 10th, I'm 0, I'm 9, yeah, of course. So it's just +1. Just it'll be corrected when we choose another number. So here we have everything collapsed, everything near, everything very, very small code. Of course, it should be taken away to some composable functions, and I'll do it in the next step. And I don't know till which moment this app will be just another app and not a starter, because now I'm just showing how it may work, but it's not really efficient to use it in this way, but it works, and it shows some ideas on how you can develop your own apps. Because here what we have is just straightforward HTML code, but yes, in Pug, and it's loaded just into the package.json, imported, and it's a really useful tool to make the HTML code compact and easy to write without all the closing tags, pain in the, I don't know, every part of your brain when you need to close the tags, where we have so easy to write tools. But it's okay if you write HTML with brackets, it's fine to work with, and more natural for the browsers, but it doesn't matter, because what matters is the DOM tree finally, yeah, and how you build it. It's your preference, not correct or not incorrect way. So just what we have here is we have players that are mounted here and listed here. So we have a component for players, it's user point, like here we have user point, and it has props set to it, so it just grabs the database, the player which we were putting in the database, and then we move the cursor that is just let's see. So we have the margin, flex, container, absolute, pointer, events, none, opacity, semi-transparent container, which is transformed to the center of the position of its position, and left and right are set on the player coordinates. And also we have the duration scale. So we have this scale thing that transforms like the size of the point that is moving on the screen. And of course we have the if that tells if the size is smaller than 100, don't display it at all. And what to display is the user avatar. So user avatar gets the pub string and the number, and it's using the library that I wrote for the gun C key pairs. It just gets the pub key and the size of the picture, and returns a picture that you can use just in the background or as an image source as you wish. It's the data base 64 data. And here we have this component just displaying the circle with the avatar inside, and we're using here the Ola library. It's on the point here. We have the Ola library that is helping us with smoothing the position, but now I have to use this set interval just inside every point. So every point runs its own set interval, and it's horrible for optimization, and it needs to be rewritten, and all the code should move out to external JavaScript files like here. So we have players ready. I already have the base for creating it. It's not loaded from any place now, but the relay is loaded. Then when we are on the main page, the data base component, yes, we have here data base, and here is components database. It's rather easy to move through the project. And here we have these use relay. So the component is so short, it fits on the screen, on one screen, and it's the way that I like to build components, but I don't like when we have too much nested components, and so we may encapsulate all the code in this use relay. Here we have this use relay. Yeah, it's a short code, but we can expand here, and we may build something that is built around the pulse of the relay, because of course we can make it external to this function. We know that it's run once already because we have the index.js, or we can run it even in the main.js. It doesn't matter so much, but not main.js but app view. It needs to be run in a view setup script environment, and so we'll have these mounted and unmounted things that will get the pulse of the relay, and we are using it in the index, so we don't bother loading the pulse when we are not on this page. Yes, but we may build it like run it straight from start and remove this, and it will be always looking, always ready to receive the the pulse from the relay, and we can use it to like maybe grow a tree or something. Like if it's just imagine it's the pulse, it's just the thing that the relay server that always is between the peers, but it's not just it's not because they interact with it directly. They may interact with each other, but they transfer data, and it may build some interesting structures around it. But for now it's just pulse, So we get the pulse, and it will work if we make this reactive tool out here. So it just updates, yes. And then we can import the relay with the pulse somewhere, and again use it maybe in the players. We can use it here to determine to compare the size of the player. We are doing it here. Yes, the size is date now minus position pulse. So the pulse of the player, but we can take the pulse from the relay server as well here. So it's like this. We have all the things expressed. There are no secrets. There's just transitions in the CSS. So we've overviewed all the app that is working here. Then when we are happy with what we have here on the local host, we can just build it. So we're building. It's really fast. It's really lightweight. We got all the logic in just it shouldn't be 100k zipped at all. Of course, there's too little styles. They'll grow a little, but the code is really fast and robust. Despite we're using Vue.js and all those fancy plugins, they just are going away when we build the JavaScript that will be loaded to the browser. And also we can serve it and check it here, but of course we can deploy it. So we'll have the deploy process, and then we can visit it here with device 42 vite gun starter, and here we have it working. I didn't make any big edits. It won't show here, but it is working right away, and we are of course syncing between the local peer and the remote peer, so we can see it. It's not only one browser, any browser on the phone. I can see this. You can try it yourself. Just visit this URL. So that's it for now. Hope you enjoyed this walkthrough. Hope you will use some parts of this setup in your journey with GunJS, Vite, and so everything that's making new fancy P2p web more ready to use for regular people. Thank you for listening, for watching. See ya.